Well, good afternoon, happy stampers. I am back, and my name is Judy Anderson from judystamps.com, and I hope to inspire you in your everyday paper crafting today. So, how is everybody doing? Oh, I couldn't believe I had to cancel last week. I had gone to a Stampin' Up event the prior Sunday, and we had a great time. And I started feeling a little nasally is what I could say on Monday. And my throat was a little sore, but nothing out of too much. I thought, oh, this is allergy season. I've never had allergies, but the last couple of years I'm affected in the spring. So I've gotten allergies in the last couple of years. And I woke up Tuesday morning and didn't have a voice. It was kind of crazy. And I says, oh my gosh, I can't do my I can't have honey, but I was drinking hot tea all day on Tuesday, and my throat was feeling better, and I couldn't talk. And I woke up on Wednesday, and my voice was raspy. And I said, you know what? I am not going to push things. I'm going to just rest it another day and just see how I'm feeling. And Thursday, it was a little bit better. I could talk and stuff, but I could, feel in the back of my throat a little bit of soreness. So I didn't want to push things at all. So I just decided to wait till this week. So I did miss all of you. I hope you missed me. Make sure as you come on today, say hello and let me know where you're coming from or watching from, not coming from, watching from. And let me know if your Easter was sunny or cloudy. We had a little bit of sun and a little bit of clouds. We had a little bit of everything, and it was a little bit cooler here. But we did have breakfast with our two sons and their wives and my grandchildren. And then they came over for a little bit, and then everybody went about their way. And we enjoyed the afternoon by ourselves and watching the neighbor kids hunting for eggs. It was a blast. So I hope you guys enjoyed your holiday weekend and your Easter. So today I decided to grab my autumn leaves stamp set. This is a stamp set that is going away. It is still available as of this time, but as you guys know, sorry, we have our last chance sale. And these are products that are leaving us from the annual catalog and the current mini catalog. And some of them are some great prices, and some are regular priced. And some of you have been asking me if they're going to go on sale later for a cheaper price if they don't sell out. I can't guarantee that. I know last year when they had a last chance sale like this, when things came back into the clearance rack, some items were a little bit higher. And sometimes that's because they're lower on stock and don't have as much to sell, or for whatever reason. So if you see something in the last chance sale, grab it now. Grab it tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have a free shipping. And that is on a $75 minimum order here in the United States. And don't forget, our new rewards program has started. So when you purchase a minimum of $20 in my online store and have opted in, and that's the important part, you need to opt into this program, you will get 10% of your total product purchase as a reward that you can spend the next time, or you can save them up and spend them all at one time. I think that for me, I'm going to save them. I have a tendency of saving things like this up. And when a new catalog or something comes out, or I have a bigger purchase like the cut and emboss machine or our score board or things like that that are larger priced, I like to get a huge discount on those. So that is my recommendation. So I am going to be using the Autumn Leaves today, and I'm only going to be using the sentiments from this. I'm not going to use the leaves. In fact, this is going to be a special fold that all we do is we're going to stencil a little bit, but the only stamping we're going to do is our sentiments. So let's get started. I had to grab a drink, sorry. So I'm going to be using the autumn leaves, and when I buy a stamp set, I also look at the sentiments in my stamp sets. And I love these sentiments here. And then I am going to be using a die. And this die comes from the Flower of Beauty dies. And the die that I'm going to be using is this one right here. You guys have seen me use this one a lot. So I'm going to be using that die. And then I am going to be using 2 inks. My inks are going to be Pretty in Pink and my Memento ink. And then we're going to be using a mini blending brush. We're going to be using some twine from our Essentials twine pack. And I am going to use some of the basic black right there. And then I'm going to use some mix and match designer series paper from 2 packs of paper. I have chosen this Pretty in Pink stripe from the 2024-2026 6x6 pack of paper. And then I have chosen this pink pattern here, and this is from the Unbounded Beauty 12x12 paper. Then for our card pieces, got them here. We have our card base, which measures 5.5 by 8 1/4. So I cut a 1/4 inch off the edge. I have a piece of basic white for the inside, which measures 4 by 5 1/4. Then I have 2 pieces of Pretty in Pink, one measuring 3.5 by 4 3/4, and this one 2 3/4 by 4. And then my striped designer series paper, which is 3 1/4 by 4.5. And then that floral pattern, 2.5 by 3 3/4, and then 2 pieces of scrap. We are going to start out with our card base. And I am going to grab my Simply Score tool out. You could also use your paper trimmer if you would like. And we are going to place this on here. And we are going to score it with the 8 1/4. Right now it's at 8.5. So I want to trim that off 1/4 inch. I'm going to pick that up and trim it 1/4 inch right there. Okay. Now we're going to place this here on our board. And our first score line is going to be 4 1/4. Okay. And then our next one is going to be 5 1/4, then 6 1/4. So that's going to leave you a 2-inch piece here. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to grab a ruler and we want to measure down at 2 3/4, and we are going to make a little tick. So it's the halfway point between these two here, because that's 5.5. So I want to mark it at 2 3/4. So I'm just doing a little tick right there. Okay. I'll show you these measurements when I'm done doing the cutting. So we're going to take our paper trimmer and we're going to line up this score line right there into the groove. And then we are going to take and move this so that that tick is in the groove. So that's going to be in the groove. So we have to move this down a little bit, and that is in the groove. So what we want to do is we want to cut that off. So you just place those in the groove, and then we are going to cut that off. Okay. So now we need to fold these. So we're going to fold it fan fold. So we're going to fold this one up and take our bone folder and burnish that score line. And then we're going to take it and fold it that way. Burnish that score line. And then we're going to take it and fold it back up and burnish that score line. Now the important part here is that right? I think I did that backwards. It needs to go this way. So you need to make sure that that corner is in your top left. Okay, so you want to make sure that this is even down here and even here. Okay, so we've got that done. We're going to put that to the side and let's start putting our card pieces together. So I am going to take my basic white scrap and we are going to lay it down here like this. And it's okay that it protrudes past. And I'm doing this in white because my card is primarily pretty in pink. So we're going to put this in here, slap that down, push it in there, and then just roll it through. Okay. And I'm going to come back again just because I don't have room to take it out on the other side because of my camera. I'm going to roll it back. Okay, we've got that. Take these off. That's going to come off. And we can just tap this like that and see how that comes loose. Really easy peasy. You may need to punch out a couple of those small chads that are in there. Okay, and that is out. Okay, we're going to take our pieces and we are going to start assembling these, matching them up. Take our glue, and you could choose either side on these, but I wanted to do a floral and a stripe. I don't always like two florals and one, unless one's like a really colorful one and one's a more subtle floral. I like to mix my patterns, and we're using the liquid glue, so we can move this a little bit, and let's press that down to make sure it's good and secure. Same thing with this one. And see, so we could use this side too, but I like the more subtle look in this card. Okay, let's put this down here. And this pattern doesn't have an up or down, so you could put it either way depending on which you liked. I'm going to leave it up this way. Okay, so we have those two, and we have the inside. So I want to take this piece here, and I am going to put a piece of graph paper underneath. And because this is split here, I'm going to take a little bit of this masking. It's a removable tape, and I think Scotch makes it. I use this often when I need to make sure something is removable. So I'm going to move these together because they came apart and position this to where I want it coming down here. So I just want a little bit of that coming down. I want a little bit of these leaves showing. So I'm going to tape this right here. Okay, so we are going to take our Pretty in Pink ink and our blender brush. And we are going to do a little bit of stenciling here. So now when I stencil this, I just noticed that I'm going to take a piece of Post-it note. This is close up there, and I don't want to get ink on my card. I want to make sure, there I go. I already got ink on my card, and I haven't even started. Let's put this on the other side. Got ink on my finger. Put this on because we can cover that up. Let's move this again. I'm going to have to wash my hand here. I have ink on it. And I'm not sure which finger has ink on it. So let me grab a wipe. And I'm going to wipe my hand. Sorry. Do you often get fingers or ink on your fingers? Inky fingers. Should have called me my business Inky Fingers because it seems like I'm always getting inky fingers. Okay. So we're going to brush this both ways. And both ways here, back and forth. And then we are going to stencil. So I'm just used the negative of what I cut out as my stencil. Okay, and you can make some parts a little bit darker if you want. I'm just going to go along the edge a little bit and make those just a little bit darker. You may hear my alarm going off in the back. That's my CGM going off because I'm out of range. I forgot to bring my phone down here. Okay, so that, I can't believe I am getting ink all over everything. Okay, we're going to do another one down here. We're going to hide that. And I'm not going to touch this card again. So let's just put this right down here. We're going to cover those up. I said, I don't know where I'm getting this ink from. It's from my ink pad. I do know that. But where on my ink pad, I'm not too sure. So I just wipe my ink pad off. Okay, so let's get a little bit more. And this one's going to be more subtle. I want this one just a little bit more subtle. I'm so careful when I stencil, when I put the stencil on, not to get ink on there, but okay, so that one's just a little bit softer. Okay, there we go. So that is that. And then we're going to take our sentiments, and I'm thankful with a grateful heart. Another card I did with this set. Getting a bonus. You see another card. I am with a grateful heart, and I am thankful. I think that's this one. No. Oh dear, let me look here. I'm thankful is bigger. So it must be under this. Oh no, it's right here. Oh, first place to go blind is in the eyes. That's what my husband always tells me. It's right in front of me and I still don't see it. Okay. So with a grateful heart. And I am thankful. So now we're going to take the Memento ink and we are going to do the I am thankful here. And we're going to trim this down. Hi, Dorothy. How are you? So Kim says she always gets ink on her fingers, even when she's trying to be careful. I know. It's crazy, isn't it? How we get ink where we don't want it. And those are just opportunities in my book. And I still have some specks of ink on here, but that's okay. I'm going to show you how we are going to make those look like they're supposed to be there. Because I am not the only one. So I am going to put this over to the left just a little bit. Because now remember, we're using a stamp set that has leaves in it, not flowers. And I don't want to, I could grab another stamp set very easily, but I don't want to do that. I want to show you guys how to do this with just very little. So we're going to grab our Pretty in Pink marker. And, well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to grab a marker. I'll show you guys something different. I don't want to use too many different products here. I like showing you guys different ways to use the products that we're already using. So we are going to take our ink pad here and our block. And I'm just going to ink up my block. Okay, so I have all kinds of ink there. And I'm going to take my aqua painter, or you could use a watercolor brush. And I'm just going to get a little bit of water on here. Drip it down, being very careful. I don't want too much water. And I'm just going to pick up some ink, and then I'm just going to splatter. And look how now I've hidden those splotches on there. So can you guys see those? Just very lightly. We're going to let those dry a minute while we put the rest of our card together. We're going to flip this around because I don't want all that water on here. So now we've got our pieces here. We're going to trim this one down. I want it a little bit narrower. I'm going to take my mini paper trimmer. I know some of you have this, some of you don't. This was a signing on bonus, a couple of years ago. And, you know, I had one of these back when I first started scrapbooking. Oh, I just found out where I'm getting the ink from, right there on my thumb. Gotcha. Okay, so I'm just wanting to make this as narrow as possible. And then when we place it on, I'm going to cut it down so that it is the right length. But first, I want to get it this way. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, making sure that that's straight there. Okay, so we have those. Let's start putting our card together. So we are going to start with this piece, and it is dry. And this is the inside of our card. And when this card is all folded up and they pull it out of the envelope, you can't tell that it's a special fold. It looks like it's just the front of the card. And that's what I like about some of the special folds I teach you guys, is you don't know it's a special fold till you go to open it. And then they're surprised and can't believe that you did it, right? So, no, Dorothy, it is not morning where I am, but I think we have a couple hour difference, so you're right. But you could still say good morning, it's fine. So I'm going to start out with putting this one, and I want this one down to the bottom. And you could put it all the way to the edge so it looks like it's all one piece. Or if you wanted to leave a little bit of a reveal there, you can, but not too much because of that top edge there. You can't leave. So I like to put it all the way to the edge. So where I put my adhesive is I'm going to put my adhesive here, 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 and not too close to that fold line, to that score line. But I'm going to line this up all the way to that score line and down. Okay. And we have that adhered there. So it folds this way. So now we want to open it up. And this next piece is going to be lined up on this piece here. Okay. So I want to line it up so it hits the top right up there. So once again, we're just going to put our glue, our adhesive, on these lines here. And adhere this onto here, lining it up to that point at the top and just inside that score line, right along there. Okay. And this is going to fold, and see, that's what your card is going to look like when they open it. Now we need to adhere this. So this is going to go on here. We don't want to protrude past our card. So we are just going to take a little bit of glue, and let me see if I can get it out of this other side. I like to use the fatter side when adhering small pieces like this, because I can just squeeze and wipe it on. And you don't get too much glue that way. Okay. I've got to shake it, shake it, shake it. Get that glue down that way. Okay. And put it right like that. Okay, so now we're going to adhere this onto the bottom. Oops. That hole there. And I want to put this on so it just protrudes here. So I only need to cut it off a little bit. And I'm going to take my paper snips, if I can find them here. I just had them. I'll use my ribbon scissors. And I'm going to cut. And I'm going to cut this one at an angle, I decided. Okay, I'm going to take some of my adhesive and just put it along right here. And this is moving because I don't have much adhesive on there. But it's all going to hold still. I got glue on my hands. And I'm just going to put this so that these stick out of the bottom a little bit. Now I'm just holding that in place for a minute. I'm going to take some twine, just because I want to tie that black in a little bit. I'm going to wrap it around my fingers like I always do. And just wiggle it, separate it a little bit. Okay, let's lift this up just a tad bit. And we are going to just place that right under there. And however it goes, it goes. I'm not particular about that, but I am particular that my sentiment is straight. Okay, so this is like that. Now, you could also put something on here if you want. You could put another verse. You could put some flowers. You could put another sprig. I'm not going to today. Okay, I want to make sure that's well stuck down. Put my glue lid back on. And as you see how we went and did that stenciling, it just adds to that. Now, the reason why you went over this way is you wanted to make sure that it was covered by this layer here. But I would probably stamp something here also. I didn't think of that. This has got to go down. It's not sticking very well. Let's put a little bit more adhesive here. Okay, there we go. So that is your special fold for today. So you want measurements of the folds. Yes, I wrote them down for you all. So you can also check on my blog. I will have my blog post up tomorrow morning. But so you're going to measure your card base is going to be 5.5. Let me see, 5.5 by 8.25. And you're going to score at 4.25, 5.25, and 6.25. And then your next piece is going to be the same color, 2 3/4 by 4 inches. And then the next mat is going to be 3.5 by 4 3/4. And then your designer series paper, your pattern number 1, is going to be 2.5 by 3.25. And that was the floral. And then the next one is 3.25 by 4.5, which is the stripes on mine. And then you're going to measure down on the right side of your card base 2 3/4 inches. And then you're going to cut up to that score line in the corner. Oh, thank you, Kim. I'm glad you liked the card and you didn't even know there was another side to the glue bottle. Yes, there is. And I store mine. I had bought this glue holder years ago and I store it this way. So my glue all goes down this way. And I usually have a second bottle, and I don't have it here, stored this way. And I will take my my silicone mat and usually lay this down on the silicone mat and just go over it. That way you don't get all that squishy glue out. Or you could just take this side, put some down on your silicone mat, and then just rub this other side along your silicone mat to pick up some glue. And it works wonderful. I know some people use sponges. I find my sponge gets hard and stuff. So, Kim, I am so glad you learned something today. My goal is that you learn something every time I come on. And Dorothy, thank you. I'm glad you like this card. So I will have the measurements on my blog at judystamps.com tomorrow, and this card and some details of the card. So until we meet again, everybody, happy stamping.